Yes, of course we have secure parking, the hotel reception assures me. In this episode, I briefly revisit the mountains before surrendering to the temptations of Chile's improbably excellent motorways, making swift progress southward until I fetch up in the lakeside charm offensive that is Pucon. Hotel de Valle Quilimari, nominally a 3-star establishment, appears to have misplaced at least one of those stars somewhere along the way. Still, the weather, blissfully unaware of hotel ratings, offers a morning of such radiant splendour that even the breakfast coffee tastes philosophical. Today's journey points south, but first there's the minor challenge of rejoining the motorway, a task that appears to require a bit of dirt track diplomacy and a minor ethnographic survey of Quilimari proper. Happily, such flotations prove to be short-lived, and it's not too long before I'm back on the blacktop. But just as I'm preparing to ease back into the narcotic rhythm of motorway Ks, my patience for the antics of the trim on my radar garage screen finally gives out. It spent the past few weeks intermittently detaching itself on the flimsiest excuse, and its presence offers little on either the aesthetic or functional side. Its primary contribution to the journey has been to require constant reattachment with all the loyalty of a sun-baked fridge magnet. So we've reached the point where it needs to go for good. Now sporting a marginally more minimalist windscreen, I make swift work of the final ribbon of motorway before indulging in a pleasing detour. The Andes, never shy about showing off, beckon once again, and who am I to resist a mountain range that wears its majesty like a well-cut suit? Today's destination is the modestly titled town of Los Andes, though given its proximity to the actual Andes, it's less of an act of bravado and more a statement of geographical fact. And having had my fill of motorways, I opt instead for a more backcountry approach. The result? Rolling hills and a road that curves with the kind of flirtatious grace you rarely find outside Italian cinema. It's a welcome change, and one that reminds me that travel, like conversation, is better with a few bends. My mountain-induced zen is abruptly disturbed. What looks at first glance like yet another display of dodgy overtaking turns out to be something far more innocent. After a glorious run through the sun-baked landscape, I reach the outskirts of Los Andes, but I'm not hanging up the helmet just yet. First, it's a quick detour back into the mountains to admire a curious bit of road engineering near the Argentine border. And after days of coastal travel, the dramatic scenery feels like being reintroduced to an old friend in a better suit. Just across the border in Argentina looms Aconcagua, the tallest mountain in the Americas, and the highest anywhere outside the Himalayas. At nearly 7,000 meters, it's not just showing off, it's making a statement. Even the base is a considerable climb from sea level, and eventually, the road has no choice but to face the music and start the climb too. Enter Los Caracoles, a dizzying feat of engineering with 17 switchbacks that haul traffic up the final stretch to 3,000 meters, where the Cristo Redentor tunnel punches through the mountain and into Argentina. It's less a road, more a slow-motion corkscrew through the sky. The road's name translates literally as the snails. One suspects this was less a tribute to the local fauna and more a sly nod to the pace that any truck driver with a vestigial survival instinct might adopt when navigating its corkscrew curves. That said, many don't, hurling their cargo-laden juggernauts around the bends with all the abandon of a man late for his own funeral. Naturally, having come this far, I wasn't going to leave without trying it for myself. It's fun in the same way that a washing machine on spin cycle might be fun if you were inside it voluntarily. Though to be fair, on a motorcycle in summer, it's more of a dance than a duel. Less man versus mountain, more man alongside mountain hoping it's in a good mood. As I twist the throttle and climb, I spare a moment's pity, though not too much as I need both hands, for those who tackle these serpentine switchbacks under their own steam. Masochism wears many faces, but surely one of them is red and panting and clipped into pedal straps. I won't be gallivanting into Argentina today. Tempting as it is, that particular crossing remains a future indulgence. For now, my terminus is the Portillo ski station, closed for the season, but still managing to look smug in the afternoon sun, the kind of off-duty elegance only mountains and supermodels can pull off. A few obligatory photographs, mostly of the same three peaks in slightly different moods. It's then round 2 on the Caracoles, and this time I'll be letting gravity take the lead. The return to Los Andes brings with it a renewed appreciation for the mountains, who like bored aristocrats, continue to loom magnificently regardless of whether one is coming or going. Before long though, the grandeur recedes, giving way to the familiar jumble of a town's outskirts. Day 62 and I find myself back on the motorway, a ribbon of tar destined to fling me southward in 3 enthusiastic bursts. but today's stretch is more of a polite nudge than a catapult, designed mainly to scoop me past Santiago, which looms on the horizon like a civic obligation. I'm sure it has charms, pisco sours, political graffiti, and the odd museum, but never warmed to cities while on two wheels. It's the combination of unpredictable taxis and overconfident pedestrians that makes every stoplight feel like the opening scene of a thriller. Token smattering of scenery, as if to lull the traveller into a false sense of pastoral security, gives way to Santiago's orbital maze, a concrete Mobius strip threaded with tunnels and populated by drivers who behave like they've just received bad news over Bluetooth. Up ahead, a plume of smoke rises with all the ominous drama of a Hollywood establishing shot. Turns out it's merely a modest grass fire, barely worth a shrug from the locals, who pass by as if spontaneous combustion were just another feature of regional landscaping. Despite the flat-pack nature of today's ride, it's hard to grumble. The sky is doing its best impersonation of springtime glory, and the roadside scenery is competent, if not inspired. Before long, I arrive in Curico, a town selected not for its cultural heft or charm, but because it had the courtesy to exist where I needed it to.
You're so cold, darling, you're freezing to the tea. Oh, slow, oh, she left us breathing slow.
Following morning, the weather decides to take a long look in the mirror and go back to bed. The sun has apparently absconded, leaving behind a low-hanging gloom that feels like the opening act to a melancholic French film. And Curico, pleasant though it's been, doesn't hold me back. The road, like a mildly annoyed tour guide, beckons me onward. After a few hours of atmospheric indecision, will it, won't it, should we bring an umbrella or a priest, the clouds relent and the sun makes a bashful reappearance. And credit where credit's due, Chile's motorway system is a model of calm efficiency. Even after a full day on its tarmac arteries, I find myself oddly content. The ride is enjoyable, the scenery politely photogenic, and the whole experience blessedly lacking in drama, which, on a long motorcycle trip, is sometimes the highest compliment one can receive. The creeping greenness that's been subtly infiltrating the scenery for the past week or so finally makes its intentions clear. We're going full forest now. The pine trees arrive like a botanical declaration of dominance, abrupt, verdant, and not entirely native, but somehow fitting. When the motorway exit finally heaves into view, it feels like an escape hatch. I peel off the tarmac treadmill and head for something a little more organic, a detour to my first waterfall since Peru. Water, as I've learned, is like good jazz, rare, moving, and usually down a side road. I've opted for the less obvious back entrance. This saves both time and tourists, two things that could make or break a detour. And the price of admission? A modest stretch of dirt road, which makes for a refreshing change.
Destination lost.
waterfall itself is a brief affair, but a good one. Splashy, photogenic, and worth every peso of the 1,000 odd it cost me. That's about $1, which in entertainment terms puts it somewhere between bargain and absurdly underpriced. But the road beckons, as it always does, and soon I'm back in the saddle. Returning to the main road, I pass the official front entrance and give myself a silent pat on the back. It's not only busy, but the views from this angle are positively introverted compared to what I just enjoyed. There's nothing quite like being smug on a motorcycle, helmet on, visor down, self-righteousness safely contained. Keen to avoid yet another stretch of well-behaved motorway, I consulted the map and plotted a cunning detour, a shortcut of minor roads that in theory will deliver me near tonight's stop. It's a bit more dirt, nothing heroic, but it should keep things interesting. Famous last words, I'm sure. And then comes the water hazard. First, an innocent looking puddle, the sort of thing you'd ride through just to feel dramatic. But beyond it lies the real issue, a proper river, fast flowing and deeper than I'd like. As usual, the GoPro flatters it into insignificance, making it look like something a hamster could wade through. Discretion as ever wins the day, and I backtrack with the grace of a man trying not to say, I told myself so. Cheeky U-turn exit is required to point the bike in the direction of Los Angeles, a small city that, like so many others in South America, shares its name with a more famous cousin. No Hollywood sign here, though perhaps just as many stray dogs. I always make a point of choosing hotels with secure parking, especially in cities where motorcycles have a habit of wandering off on their own when left unsupervised. Hotelero Muso's interpretation of the word secure was refreshingly literal. Just roll the bike in behind the reception desk. It's either a security measure or modern art. Whatever the case, I'm not complaining, but I imagine it may have been a bit of a shock for the morning staff. Today's target is Pucon, a lakeside town nestled beneath the ominously photogenic Villarica Volcano. It marks the end of my motorway stint for a while, and although the ride has been pleasant, the idea of smaller roads feels like being promised a return to jazz after too much elevator music.
Take me down to the river where the peace won't run dry. gather round at the river where my soul comes to life and I come alive.
My route carries me through spring air and the lush Araucanía region, the heart of Chile's Great Lakes district. It's then on through the town of Villarica and along the lakeshore to Pucon in the east. Villarica itself started life as a Spanish outpost supporting local efforts to extract gold, silver, and presumably trouble. Later, the Chilean government imported a wave of German, Swiss, and Austrian settlers. Whether it shows depends on if you notice the alpine rooflines, the neat flower beds, or the sudden prevalence of apfelstrudel. Once through town, it's a breezy half-hour ride along the lakeshore to Pucon, although along the lakeshore is mostly theoretical, as the trees are doing their best to obscure any actual water. Still, I've heard promising things about the town, and I'm looking forward to seeing whether it lives up to the hype, or at least serves good coffee while trying.
Every time I come alive. Freedom for my body, soul, and mind. Here at the river where I leave it all behind. At the river, leave it all behind. Back at the river,
Rain. Nails. Lakes. Ferries. More ferries. Servicing. Bridges. And empty beaches.